Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is chapter 13, part number 3. Um, this is from the class 9 CBSE book, NCRT book. My name is Avantika, and I hope you have seen the first two parts before coming to this because I have explained most of the things in the previous chapters. Here, we are only going to be talking about prevention and immunization. So, if you haven't understood, you will not understand anything if you have not seen the first two parts. Okay, so if as I keep saying, please keep your books open to this part and so that you can jot down some notes and that you can understand what we are doing or correlate with whatever is going on in the book or in the video. Okay, so this is what we learned in the previous part. We learned that the disease may be due to infectious or non-infectious causes. We learned that infectious agents belong to different categories of organisms such as bacteria, viruses, protozoa, etc. and may be unicellular or microscopic or multicellular, example worms. Disease causing organisms inhabit and affect different parts of the body. The category to which a disease causing organism belongs decides the type of treatment, and infectious agents are spread through air, water, physical contact, and or vectors. Okay, so what are the principles of treatment? Now you have seen that there are infectious agents, there are infectious diseases, and that there is an immune system. But sometimes your immune system needs a bit of help, because the microbial load. I talked about microbial load also in the previous video, that the number of microbes are so high that your immune system can't always deal with it, or it will take a lot of time and you will expend a lot of energy for it. So you treat a disease, yeah. So sometimes all you need is rest because your immune system is capable of taking care of the microbes itself, but sometimes you also need treatment. Okay, so there are two ways to treat an infection. The first is to reduce the effects of the disease, and the second is to kill the cause of the disease. Now, to reduce the effects of the disease is generally treatment, and to kill the cause of the disease is the cure. So cure means to rid yourself completely of the disease. To reduce effects of the disease means to treat the disease, so you treat the symptoms, you treat the effects of the disease. To reduce the effects, we treat symptoms which are generally due to inflammation, like swelling or pain or fever. These are due to inflammation. Inflammation is when the immune system tries to recruit more and more cells into the to fight the microbes, and it causes certain changes in the body, that is inflammation. So these medicines, you get medicines like crocin or paracetamol. Crocin is basically paracetamol. To bring down fever, these are called antipyretics. To reduce pain, which is called analgesic, or like if you have diarrhea and loose motions, right? Or it helps in reducing congestion. So anti-congesting, you have these cough syrups and all, right? So you have different medicines that reduce the symptoms, right? None of these are killing the bacteria that you have. फीवर कम करने का होता है, उससे बैक्टीरिया नहीं मरता. यू आर जस्ट ब्रिंगिंग डाउन फीवर. आप क्रोसिन लेते हो, इट इज नॉट किलिंग द बैक्टीरिया, इट्स नॉट एन एंटीबायोटिक, right? If you reduce pain, if you have like even if you like running somewhere and you have muscle pain, you take some analgesic like diclofenac or something. So in that, or ibuprofen. So in all of that, it is not an antibiotic, you're treating the symptom. Okay. You also need to, along with that, rest to conserve energy. If you have like a normal cough and cold, what you take fever, you take crocin for fever, you take a little bit of anti-congestant like decongestant, like some cough syrup, and then you sleep, so you rest, so your body takes care of the entire other things. You just give your body, you conserve energy. So if you are running around, you're spending energy in running around, so your body doesn't have enough energy to fight the infection. So instead of that, you rest, and whatever energy is produced in your body, if you eat properly, that can be used by the immune system to kill the bacteria. Okay, so this does not kill the actual pathogen responsible, but rather gives our body the chance to fight the infection on its own, right? So as I said, this is only a way to help to support your immune system. Like you're basically saying you can do it, and you're giving it the support system. Okay, chalo, I'll give you some fever. I'll give you some antipyretic for fever. I'll give you some analgesic for pain, but you have to fight the infection on your own. That is what you're telling the immune system. So this is treatment of the disease. Okay, but you also have to at times kill the cause of the disease on your own, because the immune system may not be completely able to handle it, or sometimes what happens is your immune system is not strong enough, right? So you kill the pathogen. And since the pathogen is of different types, the mechanisms to kill them are different. Okay. So the peculiar essential biochemical life processes of each group, different groups are targeted. Now what happens is, since they're all different groups, now all of them have some different life processes. Okay. So in order to distinguish between all of them for treatment, you specifically only target those biochemical processes that are specific for a group. For example, we talked about penicillin. What does penicillin do? It prevents the bacteria from forming the cell wall. The bacteria have cell walls made of peptidoglycan. It prevents the cross formation of prevents the formation of the cell wall, right? So if there is no cell wall, then the bacteria is exposed to the environment and it dies by desiccation and all. So penicillin helps that way. But because penicillin only affects this, the cell wall of bacteria, it will not affect us adversely, right? There are certain antibiotics that also cause some certain effects to our body because they also kill some healthy cells, right? But most of the antibiotics are such that they only target the organism that is responsible for the disease and not human beings, right? And also because of this difference, penicillin will also not work against viruses, okay? Because viruses don't have a cell wall, okay? So these pathways could be metabolism, synthesis of new substances, growth cycle inhibitors, respiration, and should not be used by us either. Okay, so these pathways should not be common between the bacteria and us. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि bacterium के अंदर कोई ऐसा process है which it is doing and we are also doing, our body is doing exactly the same. So what will happen if there is a drug which is targeting that metabolism, that pathway, it will also target our cells because it is not seeing कि वो whether or not it is, whether it is targeting the the bacterium or the cell, it is only targeting the mechanism. So wherever the mechanism happens, it will affect that mechanism. If that mechanism also happens in our body, then it will also kill some of our cells, right? So that can be dangerous for us and can be more harmful than good also because our cells are in majority, right? So it will more, it is more probable that it will affect us more, right? So these pathways such as metabolism or breaking down of certain substances like their food substances for energy or synthesis of new substance like penicillin targets cell wall, right? Or growth cycle inhibitors, something that prevents the growth of the bacteria, like if like DNA, and okay, that's a bit complicated, but like it prevents them from dividing or multiplying like that. So those, and then respiration is basically utilizing that energy for, and then it gives out like when we uh, use our energy and give out carbon dioxide, that is called respiration, right? These pathways should be specific for that pathogen and it should not be used by us. So antibiotics target pathways that are unique to bacteria and not used by us. Similar principles for drugs that kill protozoa such as malarial parasite. Now there is also a difference between the drugs that kill protozoa and drugs that kill bacteria, right? Because there are certain pathways in the bacteria which do not happen in the protozoa, and there are certain in the protozoa that do not happen in the bacteria, right? So these can be the differences, and you have to target those differences in order to make the drug specific for that organism. Otherwise, if you just give a drug like that, it will affect us, it will affect the viruses, it will affect the protozoa, it will affect the bacteria, and that is not good. Virus it will not affect because viruses are very different. But there are also very good bacteria. If you're targeting protozoa, if you have a protozoan infection, you don't want to kill bacteria because our body has a lot of good bacteria also, right? So you only want to target that protozoan. So there is always, you have to target specific uh, pathways you have to, that are only in those organisms, okay? So antivirals are more difficult to make as compared to antibiotics, as viruses don't really have those many pathways of their own. Virus, what is a virus? A virus is basically DNA और RNA, ऐसे particles होते हैं उसके, surrounded by a protein coat. Basic structure ऐसा ही होता है उसका, it is surrounded by a protein coat, and then it can have an envelope, then it can have those spikes, right? Those are additional features, but the basic thing is that it doesn't have a cellular mechanism like we do or like bacteria do. Bacteria has like a bacterium is a cell, bacterium has a DNA का ऐसा होता है, right? And then it has different organelles which help it to make, we have talked about organelles before, right? Of course it doesn't have mitochondria or something like this because it is a prokaryote. Prokaryotes don't have double membraned organelles, but it has other organelles which help it to even cytoplasm has many proteins and stuff and many enzymes. A virus doesn't have any enzymes और ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता इसमें. What a virus has only is nucleic acid, RNA, DNA वगैरह, and that it injects into the host cell, and then the host cell का जो goes into the host cell का nucleus, and that forms proteins and stuff whatever is required for the virus to propagate. So it is very difficult because it is using the cellular technology of our own cells, and if we want to target that, we will have to kill our own cells, right? This is actually what happens in immune systems. You end up killing your own cells also. So uh, antivirals are more difficult to make that way. ठीक है? But there are antiviral drugs that are quite effective, such as those that keep HIV under control, or remdesivir, which was approved to fight against COVID-19, which was earlier used in Ebola. So it was earlier seen to be effective against Ebola, and therefore now it is also being used against COVID-19, right? So what it does is, uh, when DNA, okay, it is a bit complicated, but it prevents the DNA or RNA, in this case RNA, from becoming a protein. Or even if it becomes a protein, it causes the protein to be not correct. It causes the protein to be wrong. So the virus cannot propagate. Okay. So this is in general. So there are certain principles of prevention. There are limitations to treatment. Like you can only treat so many people. You can only treat so many. जैसे COVID में अगर pandemic है, you cannot go on treating like everybody has an infection. You cannot treat 1 crore people. You have limitations. No, you have manpower limitations. You have bed limitations. You have space limitations. You have all these limitations, medicine limitations. Not only that, even for something that is not a pandemic like COVID, you after you get the disease, there may be long-term effects even for acute illnesses. Right? Bodily functions may get damaged and never recover quickly, never recover completely, right? हो सकता है. So it is better. So instead of getting a disease and curing it, it is possible that the disease is going to cause some long-term impact on your body, right? And treatment also takes a lot of time. So someone with disease may be bedridden for some time even with treatment. Even with a normal cough and cold, you are bedridden at least for a day because you need to give your body some rest, right? An infected person can become a source of infection for the other people. So if somebody has a cough or cold, or somebody has some sort of an infection that is communicable, then the other people can also be infected by that. And that is actually really bad because uh, otherwise, if you prevent it from happening, then other people won't get it, and you don't know that if maybe you are infected and you it does not affect you very much, but the other person that you spread it to might actually be very highly affected because of that. Okay, so prevention is better than cure. Okay, prevention is better than cure. I am sure you have heard this many times. So prevention is better than cure. There are two ways to prevent diseases. One is a general way and one is a specific way, specific to each disease. So the general way is to prevent exposure. You have seen this. I keep bringing COVID up because that is the best thing for you to understand right now. What is the way to prevent exposure? You don't go out much, right? When you go out, you wear a mask, right? You sanitize your hands, you wash your hands, you keep social distancing. Those are things that prevent exposure. Those are preventative measures. Those are called preventative measures. Preventative measures. Sorry. Preventive measures. Okay, so preventive measures, for example, airborne diseases, you reduce crowding, you wear masks, right? Waterborne diseases, you provide safe drinking water, right? Vector-borne diseases, you provide clean environment, you reduce the growth of vectors. You basically ensure that the chances of a person getting infected due to the presence of that organism just doesn't happen. You reduce the amount of times the person is exposed, or you reduce the number of infected people, or you reduce the number of the pathogens, and therefore you or reduce the number of vectors, and therefore you can prevent the spread of disease. So basic key to prevent diseases, the preventive measures are public and personal hygiene, right? The basic key to prevent diseases is public and private hygiene. Keep yourself clean, keep the public areas clean. Okay, so there are some questions given in your book. I am not going to answer them because they mostly talk about how go and talk to your community and see what happens, वगैरह, and now it is not possible for you to do that. Okay, so rabies virus generally is spread by bite of infected dogs and other animals. There are anti-rabies vaccines for both humans and animals. So find out the plan of your local authority for the control of rabies in the neighborhood. Generally, I don't see really that control of rabies in the neighborhood. A lot of times what happens is, if you see some rabid animal, you can call somebody and they'll come and either take the dog away or the animal away, or ensure that there is fewer like stray dogs and stray animals around, right? And a lot of times in certain institutes, and also especially in certain, I've seen in the institute I was working in, they used to immunize. I will talk about immunization. They used to immunize those dogs against rabies. Therefore it was okay. I mean, they would not spread rabies like that. Are those measures adequate? If not, what improvements would you suggest? I would suggest uh, let not those stray dogs like that. They should not breed too much, because it is not fair that they don't get enough to eat. They are people just throw stones at them. They get hit by cars, and they're also a public menace because sometimes they come together, they bite people, and they come together and they run after cars, they attack people, and it's not a good thing, as especially when they come together as a pack. So the best thing is to prevent these animals by neutering them, prevent these animals from growing or multiplying. What precautions can you take in your school to reduce the incidence of infectious diseases? I don't know, keep some distance, don't go to school if you have common cold or something. Don't, so what is immunization? We'll talk about this in the next slide. So general ways of prevention, immune system of the body is important. Some people don't get seasonal colds, some have low intensity colds. This is because every time a microbe enters a body, the cells go into action. I have spoken about the immune system, right? There are a lot of different kinds of cells in our body that do a lot of different things. There are certain cells that called macrophages and all, neutrophils. They actually eat the cells, or what they do, there are certain cells, what they do is they give out certain enzymes that actually make holes in the microbes, and then they can those microbes die, or they are so, or their antibodies, they do some stuff. So there's a lot of things going on in the immune system, and they also give out substances that bring in more immune cells. They do a lot of there's a lot of these things happening inside our body, in our immune system, and it is very complicated, it is very complex, and it is generally prepared in normal human beings. It is prepared for a lot of different things, and these antibodies and your immune system starts to get uh, it starts developing as a baby, as since when the baby is breastfed, then these antibodies can get transferred from mom to baby, right? So right from that stage the immune system starts to get built, and as you're exposed to more and more microbes, your immune system gets more, and it gets stronger and stronger, and eventually you have a if you're healthy, if you're fit, then you have a robust immune system. right? So if they succeed in killing the microbes before they cause any effects, there is no infection. But sometimes you might be immunocompromised. For example, you have just come out of some infection, your body is still trying to recover from it. Or if you have a certain infection, especially virus infection, then you are more susceptible to some other secondary infection also, because your body is just trying to put all its attention to one, and then the other one also comes and attacks, right? So if they reduce the number of microbes, the intensity of infection is reduced. If there is no microbe, then there is no infection. If the number of microbes is reduced, intensity is reduced. Severe infectious diseases mean a lack of success of the immune system for various reasons, right? Maybe you are not fit, maybe you are immunocompromised. Immunocompromisation kab hota hai? When you have diseases like HIV AIDS, when you have SCID, it is a severe compromised. So all of these things, and or if somebody, if a cancer patient is going through immunotherapy, or sorry, chemotherapy, then chemotherapy also kills a lot of immune cells. So your immune, there is a lot of immunocompromisation in patients of cancer, right? So if you, if your immune system is not strong, then you are more susceptible to having severe infectious diseases. You don't catch more microbes, you catch the same number of microbes. You know, if a healthy person, for example you, and if a person who is suffering from some immunocompromisation, they go out on the street, you both are exposed to the same microbes. But what happens is, the microbes that your immune system is able to fight, you don't get an infection, or you get a very mild infection. But the person who's immunocompromised might get affected very strongly, and by a different, by many different kinds of microbes, right? So severe infectious diseases mean a lack of success of the immune system. So the second basic principle of prevention is intake of nutritious and healthful foods. If you eat nutritious food, if you eat healthful food, junk food से junk food खाते हो, या मैदा खाते हो, या you have high sodium or high sugar diets, it is not going to help you. If your diet is full of vegetables, if you have good grains, if you have fruits, if you have green vegetables and all these things, then you are eating nutritious food, right? And these foods, if you drink milk, for example, of, unless you are lactose intolerant, anyway, if you if you intake nutritious foods and if you eat good foods, then your uh, body, the immune system is generally stronger, and therefore your body has more energy and more capacity to fight infections. Therefore you prevent an infection from happening. So the first one is to prevent infection, कि आप जाओ मत बाहर, or you have clean drinking water, you know, or you wear mask, avoid crowding, or if, or then the second is, when you do get a microbe, you ensure that your immune system is stronger. Okay, these are general ways of prevention. So for this, you need to ensure that proper and sufficient food is available to everybody. There should be proper food also, and there should be sufficient food also. Nutritious to ho, but come na ho. If it's too little, then there is not enough nutrients in your body to fight everything. Okay. So there are specific ways of prevention also, and this relates to peculiar properties of the immune system. Now, what happens is, if you've ever had chicken pox, I'm sure some of you must have had chicken pox. I had chicken pox only 4 years ago, right? So once you have suffered from chicken pox, you'll never get it again. Even if you nurse somebody with chicken pox is a communicable disease. It is caused by the varicella zoster virus, and it is highly communicable. It is airborne, right? So even if there is somebody in your class who has chicken pox, or somebody in the same room who has chicken pox, it can you can get it. But if you have had chicken pox, you will not get it for the second time, right? Why does this happen? Now we have seen this principle was seen also in the case of smallpox. Now smallpox has been eradicated now. What does eradication mean? It means that it is not present here anymore. But many hundreds of years ago, not many hundreds, but maybe a hundred, couple of 100 years ago, there were large scale epidemics of smallpox. Like hundreds of people would die, like cholera outbreaks, and there would be smallpox epidemics also. And at that time people weren't traveling so much, therefore there was no pandemic per se. There were more epidemics. What is epidemic? An epidemic is limited to a certain area, but pandemic means it goes to the whole global area. Therefore COVID is called a pandemic. Okay. Now there were epidemics of smallpox. This is also a very infectious airborne disease. It is also caused by the smallpox virus, right? So people who had suffered and survived could nurse the patients. Now what happened was smallpox also caused very small um, like pustules on the skin, and these they used to cause a lot of scarring on the face and all, right? These people who had survived that infection, if their immune system was strong, they would survive eventually, right? They could survive, and then they could also nurse those patients without getting smallpox again. This is the same thing that happens with chickenpox also. So having the disease once was a means of prevention of getting it again. This is a rather uh, strange way of preventing a disease. You first have it and then you don't have it again. But it shows that there is a certain property of your immune system कि वो फिर से नहीं होने दे रहा उसको. So why that happens is when the immune system encounters a pathogen for the first time, it responds to it. It takes time. It takes time, but so the disease manifests. It takes time for the cells to come out and build an attack which is um, which can effectively destroy the pathogen. It will give an attack. It will keep attacking the microbe, but sometimes it is not very effective, and the microbe, the pathogen can keep growing. Right? This especially happens in case of viruses. So eventually, what will happen? The immune system will learn from it, and it will do some modifications in the cells in order to be specific to that pathogen. And एक बार वो specificity आ गई and it starts killing microbes, then the immune system gets stronger and it is able to mount an attack such that the disease is killed. Right? So it takes time for that to happen. So the first time you encounter the pathogen, your immune system responds, but it takes time. Okay, so the disease manifests, you get the disease. Okay, but the memory of this infection remains in the blood as specific antibodies. This is not given in your book, right? I am just adding this because uh, I think it is important to, it is not important to know per se, but it is interesting to know why it happens. You can avoid using that word antibody also, but you can just say that the memory of this infection remains. There are also memory cells, right? You have memory cells in your body that they have that specificity factor that acts against that specific pathogen remains in your blood. So what happens the next time that pathogen comes into your body, it is the same thing. So this specificity factor recognizes that pathogen immediately and multiplies very quickly. So therefore the second time it mounts an immediate attack which is specific. The first time it took time to learn how to kill the pathogen. The second time it already knows how to kill the pathogen. So once the pathogen comes inside, it will immediately attack exactly the way it has to be killed. Therefore, you don't get an infection. Right? So this is a peculiar property of our immune system. Right? The memory of infection, the previous infection, is a peculiar property of immune system. And this is also used. This is used in cases of immunization. So this used to happen earlier also. That people had realized this many years ago, many millennia ago. So people like Indians and Chinese would rub skin crust of smallpox. It sounds very gross, but think about it. If you take this smallpox crust, you have some amount of virus in it, and they would rub it on their skin. And because the viral load is lower, instead of getting all that virus, they only get a small amount of that virus. And what happens is your body will take some time to uh, get mounted infection, but the virus will not be very strong, right? The virus, because if you have, for example, if in normal way you have like 5 particles that infect, right? This is a very small example that you don't have only 5 particles ever, right? So I'm just want to give you an example. 5 particles will give you a large, I mean, a very strong, not large, strong effect, strong manifestation of the disease. Okay, but what if you take the skin crust of smallpox and rub it, you might just get one. And then if you have one of this 5 will multiply so many times, it will multiply much quicker than this one. हाँ, so इसमें जो manifestation आएगा weaker होगा. But consider that the body takes the same amount of time. So in the same amount of time, these five will multiply to be much more in numbers. The microbial load, the viral load will become very high. And here the viral load will remain low till that time that the body gets the memory or the specificity to attack. And once it gets the specificity to attack and attacks all of these, then you have a memory that remains, and then for any of the next one it will ensure that as soon as it comes, it is thrown out, it is killed. Okay, so that is what they used to do. And Edward Jenner, who was an English physician, he realized that milkmaids who had suffered from cowpox never suffered from smallpox. Now cowpox is a related disease related to smallpox, but it is much milder. It is much milder than smallpox. Smallpox used to be really, really bad. It would kill people. It was very bad, right? Cowpox is much milder than that, but it gives you a certain resistance to smallpox. So women, the milkmaids or whoever who were exposed to cowpox because of the cows would not be infected by smallpox even during smallpox epidemics, right? So what Dr. Jenner did was that he gave cowpox to people to make them resistant to smallpox. Like this, this is an example he's giving to a child. He's putting smallpox into his arm, and what that did was, it is because the smallpox is related to cowpox, therefore our body made a memory of the antibodies. You don't have to use the word antibodies. It made a memory of that infection, and therefore because of the similarity of diseases, the same antibodies could mount an attack on smallpox virus when exposed, right? It is the same thing as being exposed to the virus, and because it is much milder, because what they would do is he would also give cowpox, and you can also reduce the intensity, उसको weak कर देते हैं पैथोजन को थोड़ा सा. हाँ, पैथोजन को थोड़ा वीक करके भी अगर आपने इंजेक्ट किया, दैट आल्सो हेल्प्स. एंड because it is weakened, it doesn't have the same capacity to divide and to infect, but it has the same structure, so the immunity will act in the same way against it. So if it doesn't multiply as much, but the immune system can get the same kind of memory, that is what it does, that is better for you. So the disease does not manifest, but you get the memory of it, right? This is the principle of immunization. Now what was this called? In Latin, cow is called vaxa, and cowpox is called vaccinia. Therefore, giving cowpox infection to people in order to prevent smallpox from happening was actually called vaccination. So this vaccination term has become very famous, and now we talk about vaccines. Immunization is a broad term, and vaccines are a part of immunization. So you can be immunized by your own body, like आपको chicken pox हो गया एक बार, now you're immune to it. That is also immunization. Or you get a vaccine for chicken pox. So you never actually have chicken pox, but you get the memory of that because you have weakened chicken pox. That chicken pox is so weak that it cannot actually do much to harm your body, but your immune system makes those cells that are specific to the chicken pox, for example, and therefore if you're ever exposed to actual chickenpox, you already have that memory in your body, and therefore you are already immunized. Okay, so immunization is a broad term, vaccines are a part of immunization. Okay, so most of our vaccinations do not cause any disease by themselves since they are weakened or killed. No, even killed. Now what happens is, what does our body make, how does our body target those specific microbes? The pathogens or microbes have certain things on their surface. I have talked about antigen when I was talking about rapid antigen test. So there is certain, like a protein or especially a protein. It is proteins are mostly more pathogenic or antigenic actually. They are more able to bring in an immune response. So there is something on the cell of the bacterium or the virus, right? And that is recognized by our body. So what happens is, even if they are killed, what does it mean? their internal things are not working, but this structure, the antigenic structure still exists. Okay, the antigenic structure still exists. It won't cause you any harm because they can't grow anymore. ठीक है, वो आपको कभी इन्फेक्ट कर ही नहीं पाएंगे because they are killed or they are weakened, but they still have the structure, and therefore this structure is what our cells immune system makes something against. इस स्ट्रक्चर के अगेंस्ट करते हैं. दे डोंट रिकॉग्नाइज कि इसका नाम ए है तो हम ए के अगेंस्ट करेंगे. जैसे कि उसका स्ट्रक्चर ऐसा है, उसके ऊपर ये ऐसा एक प्रोटीन बैठा हुआ है, तो उस प्रोटीन के अगेंस्ट हम करते हैं. सो दैट इज द मेमोरी. So even if these are killed, this protein remains on the surface, and therefore our body can have antibodies or specific memory against this protein or this structure on that pathogen. Okay, so that is how, even if we don't get a disease, then our body has a memory of that pathogen so that a quick attack can be mounted. Okay, so now vaccines are found for many diseases. You have tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, measles, polio, tuberculosis. COVID-19 vaccines are coming. Have you seen? Have you, if you are for, like Moderna and AstraZeneca and all these Serum Institute in India, these are all trying to make vaccines against COVID, and a lot of them have been successful. So now you might get vaccine soon. So maybe by the time you are watching this, a few months from now, you already have this vaccine. I don't know. TB, you actually, when you're kids, you get this thing on your arm. So a lot of people have this scar on their arm. I do have a scar, right? So that is BCG injection. Bacillus calmette-guerin. I don't remember what exactly it is, but it is against a certain kind of so you as soon as you're born you are vaccinated, and कभी कभी उस vaccination से थोड़ा सा fever आता है, but you don't actually get the infection. वो it is just your body trying to make those antibodies or memory का ये, that is inflammation का part है, right? So now vaccines are a big part of your life. Sometimes either this happens, like you force your body to make memory cells, or sometimes you just inject antibodies made against it directly, right? Agar if you are putting the weakened pathogen, you are forcing your body to make memory cells so that you know कि next time वो आएगा. Or you can just inject these antibodies कि इसके अगेंस्ट ऑलरेडी आपने एंटीबॉडी बना दिया, सो यू आर नॉट वेटिंग, ये प्रोटीन था इसके ऊपर, राइट? You are not waiting for your body to make anything against it. You have made it, and now you're injecting it into your body. That is also immunization, right? So there are public programs for childhood immunizations to prevent such infectious diseases. Okay, and there are no. Do you know why there are no vaccines, proper vaccines for common cold or influenza? That is because every year the virus mutates in a way that the vaccines do not really. I mean, people do have influenza shots, but common cold ke liye there is no real vaccine because it just mutates so quickly. Your body has to keep making new memory of it. सो पब्लिक प्रोग्राम्स हैं फॉर चाइल्डहुड इम्यून. पोलियो का तो कितना है, यू नो अबाउट दो बूंद जिंदगी की. एवरी चाइल्ड हैज बीन गिवन पोलियो ड्रॉप्स टू प्रिवेंट पोलियो फ्रॉम हैपनिंग इन द बॉडी, and these should be made available to all children, and most of them are available to all children. So there are viruses such as hepatitis A which are transmitted through water, and these cause jaundice. There is a vaccine for that virus in the market, but most children get exposed to hepatitis A before that, and maybe they get exposed to it in very small quantities. Therefore, they don't really get that virus, but they get the memory of it, and therefore they are already immune before they get the vaccine. So ऐसा भी होता है, right? I hope you have understood this point. It's very easy. You're just trying to make your immune system active so that if you ever encounter that microbe or that pathogen, your body is already ready to attack it. Okay, that's the only way. That is what vaccination or immunization is. Okay, so what have we learned? We have learned that prevention of disease is more desirable than its successful treatment for various reasons. Of course, disease होना ही नहीं चाहिए. It's better to not get the disease than to have the disease and then get it cured, right? So even in the case of chicken pox, it's much better that you don't get the disease in the first place. So a lot of people do take vaccinations. Infectious diseases can be prevented by public or personal health hygiene measures that reduce exposure to infectious agents, like keeping the drains clean, keeping the house clean, keeping a public places clean, not putting garbage on the roads, not spitting on it, not letting the water bodies be polluted, ensuring that your water bodies are clean. All of these things are public health measures, personal health measures होते हैं. Of course, you wash your hands after defecation, or when you from after you come out, after you come from outside, or before eating, or before doing anything that involves touching your face or something, you have to wash your hands. Or you just have a bath every day, that is also important. So all these things are personal health measures, hygiene measures. Okay, use toilets, don't just go here and there. That is, open defecation is really bad. Hmm. So infectious diseases can also be prevented by using immunization. Immunization works on the principle of memory of the immune system. Okay, this might be asked, what is the principle? It is the memory of the immune system. Okay. An effective prevention of infectious diseases in the community requires that everyone should have access to public hygiene and immunization. Okay, so I hope you have understood all this chapter. It is not a very difficult chapter. It's fairly simple actually, but thoda sa kuch principles हैं that you have to, and it's actually quite logical also, because that you have all been through some sort of illness. कुछ ना कुछ तो होता ही रहता है. So you already know a little bit about it. So it is actually quite easy. And if you still haven't understood anything, please write to us. Please email us or write comment below and you can ask us. Please give us a thumbs up. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And please press the bell icon to be notified every time we upload new videos. Okay. I am not discussing the questions in this because I think they are mostly covered in whatever I've taught you. It's pretty easy. So I don't want to make an entire video about, it will faltu by, I'll just be repeating everything. So if you haven't understood anything, just go through the video again, videos, all the three parts again. And if you still don't, please, you can contact us and we'll help you. Okay, so I bid you goodbye, and I'll see you for the next chapters. The only two chapters left now. So bye.